Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about the concept of viewing your reality as an algorithm of sorts, how you can work with that, how it helps me be more conscious of what my algorithm is feeding me and what I'm consuming. This channel, Journey with Paloma, is basically this amalgamation of me sharing my personal development journey, my shadow work journey, because there were so many places where I was stuck, where ideas clashed, was hearing the concepts, but I didn't understand them truly in the body and the form. My hope is that through sharing these experiences with you, some of my breakthroughs, when things started to click, exactly how they started to click, it helps to bring some form to some of these things that are so hard to grasp and can feel so slippery. It's like the me who I want to be is just barely out of reach always. I want to share with you how it is that you can actually feel that wholeness within you. What's interesting is that lately I've been coming across a lot of content reinforcing that idea that is central to my channel, is that you are already whole, and it's more about softening into who you are, more about allowing than it is about changing or forcing or really trying to learn or gain something, like change who you are fundamentally. That the truth to feel what it is that you want to feel, that ease within you, it comes from relaxing into yourself, not forcing against yourself. I'm coming across all of this content that is really explaining this so beautifully. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting because when I was at peak confusion, when I was hitting a wall, when I didn't even realize I was lost and didn't even know that I was confused about healing, this content was nowhere to be found. It wasn't in my algorithm. But I did find what was in my algorithm were countless videos that were more techniques, more perspectives, more insights about and brilliant subject matter experts in their particular field. I was getting some really great information, but it was still with that underlying principle of there's more to learn, there's more to do, there's more that you need to uncover. And I think that there's a perspective of that I still hold and still take. But what I was missing was that gentle, if there's an archetype that would hold this for you, it would be like Mother Mary archetype. That is, you can just rest as well. You can relax into who you are, and you don't always have to be in this uphill climb, because what you're doing is you're perpetuating the childhood pattern of how you thought you needed to be to get things done, to be accepted or loved in the world. And it's just continuing on now in a new suit of personal development. How wonderful would it have been that somebody had explained this to me, but I couldn't come across that content, right? Because it wasn't my algorithm. I want you to consider is not just literally in tech, on the social media app algorithm. Like, that's easy for us to get and understand. That makes sense to us, right? Now I want you to apply that into your real life. Okay, imagine that the whole world, when you walk into a room and it's like the director hits play, the scene that plays out in front of you is like an algorithm for you, for where your attention seems to go. Now I want to be very careful because this can be misconstrued, misinterpreted, and can be used again for more division or nihilism or like panic, and that's not the message here. But consider it if it's helpful, okay? And that's the same thing with anything you come across in life. This is my suggestion. We are shown the scenarios in our waking life. We are being shown whatever it is that reinforces our existing worldview. Whether you're conscious that you're engaging or you're choosing a worldview is on you and your awareness practices, but even if you're unconscious, it still operates the same. It's still the same principle. It's still the same law. You don't get to be exempt just because you're unaware. Just like if my mom, who knows nothing about technology, doesn't understand how algorithm works, it's still picking up her patterns. Just because she doesn't understand how it works doesn't mean that she's exempt from an algorithm. What makes a lot of sense is that we know, in spirituality, there's that term as above, so below, is that idea of fractals and microcosms. So our technology is a microcosm. The algorithm is a microcosm for what I believe is how reality forms, the nature of reality, consciousness, which is God, to me that is what I consider and call God. Well, I do think that God is even bigger than just the programming itself, is the programmer. So that's a whole nother thing. But the empowering perspective from what I'm sharing is that in being conscious of how you interact with the algorithm, then you become conscious about the kind of person that you want to be in the world. I know this is so vague, but the energy, meaning like from baseline, how are you operating? What is your default? This is like beyond manifesting, okay? This is like, forget that old idea of I have to feel what I really want. It is sort of related, but the way that I would like to present this is that it's less about being aware of this algorithm to get things in life or to force outcomes. It's more about aligning with the internal state that you want to have and knowing that as a result of that, you'll have a beautiful life, whatever it might look like. And being open to letting life surprise you, because what you think you might want, once you start aligning with these very peaceful internal states, it could look totally different. It could be a lot simpler or a lot more grand than you could have envisioned for yourself. And that's kind of the excitement about life, is letting life surprise you after you have aligned your algorithm into the internal state that serves you the best, not what is comfortable to you, not what is known to you, not what has been conditioned, not what you've been doing, but being aware of saying, normally, I'm starting to see that this is how I relate to life. And I see what I get as a result of having that view. And even though it's been beat into me, I will not experience this again. It's like that moment where you can take control and you say, I prefer to be a person who trusts that there is a loving consciousness guiding everything that I do and that I can relax into it. I prefer to be the person who trusts when someone does something nice for me that it is genuine and that I'm not always suspicious. I prefer to be the person who surprises my friends with sweet gestures when they're not expecting it. And now you are cultivating your perfect algorithm. Sometimes you don't know that the algorithm that you have is skewed because it's all you've ever seen. It's all you've ever known. It might be until you look at we can stick with the technology metaphor. It's like you look at your friend's phone for a minute and you scroll and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is so much more positive than mine. There's glitter everywhere. There's a lot of inspo. Like this is a fun place to be. My algorithm is full of a lot of darkness and sadness and world tragedies. And it's like that, it's like, well, every time there's a headline for a world tragedy, you click on it. So it's going to that's where your focus is. And the algorithm knows that. It's like, that train wreck that you can't avoid looking at it. You just like, I have to look. But then once you do that so many times and you exhaust yourself because you know what happens as a result, I look, I get sad, it ruins my day. Can't even go to the grocery store without feeling paranoid because of what I saw on the news earlier. Once you start to see the impact that it has in your life, then you make adjustments. But sometimes it's not that simple because you don't even realize that you're choosing your own discomfort. It's just that's all you know. There's a component to this of being open, of not limiting, what the algorithm could be, and then kind of relaxing into that. And that could be, if you don't know what it is, the best starting point is, in my world algorithm, I am open to seeing what else could be there. I'm open to another way of viewing the world. I'm open to the possibility that I don't have to continue doing things the way that I always have. And what I understand is that when you're unaware and you're stuck in a pretty low vibe, negative, a lot of really tough feeling algorithm, and you're not even aware of it, that is my understanding of what karma is. But also, whatever algorithm you have is your karma, because it can be positive karma too. Whenever I come across something, for example, Autobiography of a Yogi, when I read that book and I was like, oh, somehow I got on a timeline and an algorithm that made me privy to this level of like beauty. like that was confirmation for the, and I'm tearing up, but that was like confirmation for me of the algorithm that I'm on and how perfect it is for my life. And so if you've ever had those moments where you're like, life could not get any sweeter, how did I dream this up? Yesterday I had just come from a shaman workshop. So I had joined a shaman group locally, and the leader of the group had surprised us with an impromptu, just like a freebie, an extra gathering. And we did another shamanic journey, no cost, just she wanted to gather all of us together again. And I went to that and it was so sweet. It was like sisterhood and just amazing. And then afterwards, I went and I got Taco Bell. And like, I never eat out, I'm always cooking at home. So that was like a big treat for me. And so I'm outside in my car and I'm eating my Taco Bell and I'm just like soaking in the night. And then on a Friday, I have like a beautiful day planned. Like there's going to be a lot of really cool things happening to me on Friday. And so like I'm excited about what's to come, but I'm so happy about what just happened. And I'm eating my Taco Bell and I'm not feeling guilty about it. And I was like, how did I dream up this algorithm? Like I am in the sweetest algorithm. I feel like profoundly at home. And I'm in a new city, I'm just making my way here and meeting people, and like how did I feel so much love in this room of practically strangers? It was just incredible to me. And these are all the feeling. That feeling is my indicator that like I am on the right algorithm. And there could be another one that's like even sweeter, but I'm so happy with what is presented to me. Like the emotion is the gauge. And like on a phone, you can tell app like I don't want to see this content, or you can tell it what kind of content you do want to see. You can limit the time that you're on the phone too, is another way. You can uninstall the social media apps if you don't like, that you get sucked in. In real life, we make those customizations by what we focus on, being aware of our feelings. So you need to have awareness, and you need to know where your focus is going, and you need to know what is the implication on you, on your well-being when you participate in this line of thinking. So here's where there could be some confusion. When I say that reality is an algorithm, and when you walk into a room, when you press play, a scene plays out, it's less so about what's happening and where your focus is going. Okay, that's the key, because that's the projection. That's the lens that you're viewing your life from. When you walk into the room and the scene presses play, are you annoyed? Oh my God, this person, look at this. Are you judging? Are you self-conscious? When the scene presses play, what are you doing? Become aware of what you do. Who is making your heart race? Like when the boss says, hey, jump on a Slack, are you like, oh shit, what did I do? Which is me sometimes. Become aware, not because it's wrong, not because, oh, you should be past that, but because it's giving you insights into what your focus goes to immediately. Then you can start questioning that. You can say, oh, wait a minute. Simply just being aware. Like I'm not going to control or try to change what happens. I'm not going to start to try to force positivity here, because that doesn't always work. It can have the tendency to do the opposite effect. Always, here's where it gets kind of meta or nuanced, is like in doing this, you want to make sure that it's not to shame yourself of like, I saw this person come in with this like crazy outfit and right away I started judging their abstract patterns or whatever. And so they're like, oh, I'm a bad person, or like, and this is why I have a terrible life. Like, you know, now your focus is even more like you've spiraled deeper into the negative thinking. So instead it's kind of like, okay, I've seen that this is happening. Okay, this is a pattern. I don't know where it's stemming from maybe necessarily, but okay, I'm aware of this. And then if you just enter neutrality, your own inner being, this is what a lot of channelers will say, that your own inner being at a neutral state will steer you to positivity. And I think that another proof of that is that any time that we've come across really enlightened beings, these spiritual teachers who just meditate, they're always super loving. So they're not forcing love, they're just allowing. And when you allow, it brings up love, because that is the default. That's the state that we're programmed to be, but we've been like skewing it, skewing it, skewing it. So you don't even really have to try to be positive. You don't have to try to counteract. It's like, well, now I'm going to give her 3 compliments to make up for my judgment. It's not going to be anything hurtful if you do. It's not even hurtful if you start judging yourself. Like try to get rid of that idea of bad or good, or I'm hurting myself, or try as much as you can just to get rid of those labels and just let things happen objectively. Be aware, and then a good sign is to feel what your body is doing. Oh, my heartbeat is racing. Because sometimes you don't know that you're so for example, we'll use the boss for example. Like, I may not be conscious that there is this pedestal thing happening where the boss wants to talk to me. Consciously, I might not think that at all. Like, I might think, oh, it's fine. But when I pay attention to what my body's doing, my body is signaling to me, like, oh, yeah, there's a belief here, there's a little bit of danger here. You might be putting yourself underneath, but maybe I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't been paying attention. This is why mindfulness practices help you escape karma and karmic loops, especially when they are producing a lot of suffering for you. And that's why suffering becomes the catalyst for living a more free, empowered life, because you just get to the point where you're like, I cannot continue this way. That's why Eckhart says that which opposes consciousness is that which drives consciousness. Just like, I guess, another microcosm is like going to the gym, and you wear yourself out and you're opposing your muscles to build them. It's not too different than when you've been scrolling for an hour and you become aware of it, and then you put your phone away. It's that awareness that interrupts the cycles. It's like that saying that the healing is in the return. The healing is in the return. The awareness is the progress. It means that you're tracking your internal thermostat, that you know your own internal landscape and gauge. You're noticing your emotions. You're noticing the thoughts that come up. You're noticing your nervous system shifts. When you tipped from being neutral into something triggering, those moments matter, but not so that you can go in and make a story of it and then continue to produce more of those feelings, thoughts. Another example, let's say we'll go back to the boss thing. So, okay, I've become aware that my heartbeat is going and my palms are just a little bit sweaty. Okay, I must have a belief that my safety here or my security is at stake if I mingle too much with the boss, because now I have a spotlight on me and that's scary to me. Now, what happens next? Do you then start thinking about all the times in the past that things have gone wrong with your boss, that you've butt heads with your boss, where that time when you got fired from your first job? Okay, maybe that's a possibility. And then once you start going in there, you notice that your heart rate is quickening, your palms are getting even more sweaty. So then it's like, again, be aware of that even. So whatever you do next, be aware of the effect that it has. Here's the thing. Be mindful of escape behaviors. Escape can be something as simple as like making up an excuse so that you don't have to get on the call. Would be like trying to use affirmations like, okay, I'm aware that there's a power dynamic. I am just as powerful. I am safe. And trying to force positivity onto yourself. That can be an escape behavior too. That's the spiritual bypassing. What's needed here is less. Less is more. This is what Eckhart tried to explain to me that I didn't understand for so many years, is that, okay, I got it. The heartbeat, something is activating me right now. Let me go neutral. Let me just focus on my breath here. Let me step back into that field, that space within me where I know that I am connected to all, that I'm fundamentally well, that I am safe. Let me cultivate that within me. Let me, before jumping on this call, let me take a few clearing breaths and center. And then you haven't gone into a story, you haven't escaped, you're still engaging with what is. And you notice then how that changes. And then the call goes and it's, it turns out to be something wonderful and you've got a promotion. But yeah, use yourself as an experiment. See what happens in the algorithm. I've stepped into it. And that's why I noticed that when I spend time with like medicine women, priestesses, shamans, When they enter a space, they open a space every time. When the ones that I've been around, I'm not saying this for every single medicine man or woman, but I've been around people who, for example, you get in the car and they knock a certain amount of times on the car. This is more so for like sacred sites or when you're going into meditation, but life is one big ceremony. Every time you enter a room and you start interacting, boom, something has opened. A container has opened, and when you leave, it closes again. How conscious can you stay in? And so symbolically opening is you telling yourself, I'm aware now, I'm watching, I'm awake. Because see, it's so tempting. There's another layer that when feelings come up, we want to keep thinking. We want to replay conversations. We want, was I right? Were they right? You want to replay. You want to analyze. You want to justify. Or you're against yourself all the time and you're like, why did I do that? Either way, if it's against you or against someone else, there's this urge to do it and it feels productive and it feels helpful. And a lot of times, maybe a psychologist or someone is telling you that that's the right thing to do. And maybe you want to get other people involved and then run it by them. And what do you think? It feels like you're taking control and you're processing. But if you look energetically, is it really serving you? Is it again feeding an algorithm that you want to continue to perpetuate? So simple. It's so simple to just stay present with the sensation, and that's it. It's so simple, but it can be so difficult. It can be a lifelong practice. You stay with it not to suppress it, but just to remove the fuel. Okay, so that's the other key, is that you don't want to stay with it like, okay, I'll stay with it so it'll go away, because that is a very subtle form of more of the same. Totally invited in. Eckhart, it might be Kim or Eckhart, one of the two, will say that you feel these sensations and feelings with so much acceptance that they could last an eternity and you would be okay with that. No matter how painful, no matter how intense the panic attack is, you stay with it. You invite it in. You say, it's okay to feel this way. Come in. You're welcome here. You're welcome here. That is the softening. With that softening, then that algorithm loses its grip on you. You don't become totally lost in the scenarios, totally unaware. And then again, I want to emphasize that you're not changing your algorithm by trying to control what scenarios play out in front of you. This is how you can be totally at peace in hell. There's no insistence that anything changes at all. It's just how you are relating to what's happening that changes. I want to take just a little piece of this video to mention the non-dual lens, because what I understand is that you will never be outside of the algorithm, and that kind of drove me crazy. I'm like, how do I get out of this? If I don't know what I don't know, and I'm only calling what comes to me, and I'm confused, so everything is confusing me. When does this end? It can feel maddening. You won't be outside of it. But just like the stories that I shared, when you're aware inside of it, it can get so beautiful that you don't want to be. You become so grateful that you are in divine flow, a life force, if you want to call God, all that is, that you have a beautiful relationship with that. And for me, I like to demonstrate that physically. So I attend satsangs, and on Guru Day, which is Thursday, I watch Baba's Abhishek, and I chant the mantras, and I have a candle going at all times in the southeast direction of my home for the Vastu, and I have arranged my home for Vastu principles because I love the symbolism. I understand this again, macrocosm, as above, so below, as within, so without. So the more that I physically do things to worship God in a ritualistic way, the more that I am consciously engaging and feeding my relationship in a beautiful, enriching way. And it doesn't have to look like that for you. It's just what I prefer. That's why I love the spiritual view of things. It's what makes me feel the best. That's what makes me feel like those nights when you lay your head on your pillow and you're like, things could not be more perfect. Freedom is the moment when you're noticing the loop, when you're feeling the urge that you want to stay in the story, and then you make a different choice. And because you can't be outside of God, you can't be outside of life, you can't be outside of the algorithm, then may it give you some solace to know that you are right on time. Okay, everything is unfolding just as it should. There's nothing to fix, nothing to escape, just living right as you are, just as you are, loving yourself as is. I'll be back soon for another consciousness discussion. Much love.